Hello, everybody. Glad to have you here with us tonight at Crypto Talk Now for the topic, which is basically should you hold, hodl, whatever you want to refer to it, especially in these times. So, before we get into the actual show, let's go ahead and see who we happen to have here tonight, which is first starting off with Crypto Winner, aka Badir. Good to see you, sir. Glad to have you here tonight. And then there is Briltony. Happy Saturday. Thank you, Briltony. Glad to have you here as well. And Brian Dowie says hello to me. Glad to have you guys here tonight. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful weekend before the Thanksgiving weekend coming up. Let's face it, less than a week away, right? So, if anything, I'm just going to wait for a few more people to come in. And let's say hello to this particular person. Wenjam, who says thank you. Thank you, of course, for being with us tonight. Glad to have you here. Yeah, we're going to wait for a few more people to come basically in. And then, if anything, we're going to kick it into some of these topics that you may be wondering about and so on. We have some premium content for you all. Have some particular clip I want to share from you guys from Investor Place. I'm not going to play the whole thing because that would take over a half an hour to do so. But I highlighted a key area that I wanted to bring to you guys' attention. And of course, we have a new article that just came out today from them, from the likes of Luke Lango, who happens to be a person that worked for the Los Angeles Dodgers on data analytics. And he also did some work with the Philadelphia 76ers, also with data analytics. And of course, Charlie Shrem, who happens to be a guy that's from the Bitcoin Foundation. Again, been with Bitcoin since about $5, if you can imagine that. So glad to have you guys here tonight. John G, hello from Nova Scotia, Canada. Thanks for joining us, John. I happen to recognize your avatar. I did see that you commented on one of the quant videos a while back. So thank you again for choosing to join us here tonight, especially on the live instead of just the recorded. That means a lot to us. Cool Cat Crypto is in the house. Good to see you, Cool Cat. Looks like another person from okay, cool, from Nigeria, Kingsley. Hopefully I'm pronouncing this right. Nadai or Nadi. Correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Glad to have you here tonight. So two new people I haven't seen before, which is Wenyam and Kingsley. So let's go ahead and welcome them, as well as John G, who basically came from like the recorded. Glad to have you here on the live show tonight as well. And guys, please give them the CTM warm welcome. Any questions you guys happen to have, any comments, anything like that, we have a very welcoming community. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight with us. Really, really do appreciate it. So we're going to start things off basically here in just a moment. Of course, going to welcome a few more people. Crypto Mike, aka Mike Cornwell's in the house. It says yo. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and basically share some of this info with you right now. Give me just a moment to do so. And here it goes. So if anything, let me just highlight it. There we go. And it's this particular part right here. I fast forward to 6 minutes and 42 seconds. It's going to be about roughly 4 to 5 minutes on this because, again, it's going to be too much to share the whole thing. I'll try to cut out some other areas and share it with you a different day and so on. But I want you to hear this. This is in reference to what's happened recently with the whole FTX fiasco and how these particular two guys look at where we're going to go from here. At the end of the day, sometimes you kind of need to hear some good news with all the bad news that's recently happened. So we're going to take a moment to listen to this. Again, it's not super long. I know when to stop it, and then we'll jump back in for some commentary and read some of the comments and so on.
But Charlie, you talked about how a lot of these companies, BitPay, Coinbase, companies like that, they've been around for 10 years. They've weathered the storm. They were innovating during periods like this. Can you just tell some of our subscribers, okay, here we are in 2022. What are some of the innovate in late 2022? What are some of the innovations, some of the spaces, some of the projects, some of the stuff that you're seeing on a ground level? Because I know you're one of the most connected people in this industry. What are you seeing from an innovation perspective at the ground level that gives you faith that these projects will weather this storm, will make it through, and we're going to see the next iteration, the next generation of the Coinbases, of the BitPays? What are you seeing right now?
That's a great question. And I've spent every day over the last 2 weeks since this collapse speaking to the CEOs of almost every major crypto protocol and blockchain and network out there, from the Cosmos ecosystem to Celo and everyone in between, Ethereum developers. And I'm asking them the same thing. What are you building? What are you building in the wake of the FTX collapse? What are you building now that you're not going to release for 6 months that we could look for? Like, what are the trends? Where do you see market demand? And they're telling me like two things. They're telling me they're building out the products and the services to replace what centralized exchanges were doing. And the centralized exchanges were doing a lot of infrastructure work that doesn't actually exist in crypto. I thought it was built more. I thought there was more built, but I was wrong. There's still so much that needs to be built. And we're talking about order matching and being able to connect different types of assets together, but also have the data and the messaging go through with those assets, because you can build all types of things from carbon credit markets to mortgage markets and everything in between. But what's really cool is what I'm seeing now is we've been focusing over the last 2 years on blockchains, on the networks themselves, those like layer ones. And then we started to look at layer twos. But I think now, and this is like very, very, very early, this is like the most high quality information people will get right now. No one is talking about it. Where to invest is in layer zeros. See, layer zeros exist outside of blockchains and they're agnostic. So it doesn't matter what blockchain is successful of the day. These protocols can connect to any other blockchain and be able to bridge and offer relationship mapping between, so you and I in the future will hold a token, but we'll never need to know which blockchain that token's on. So for example, USDC, the stablecoin, is experimenting with this right now. They're building out USDC on Tron, USDC on Ethereum, USDC on Polygon. But in the future, USDC will just be USDC, and it doesn't matter what blockchain you're holding it on. And that's what we're going to see in the next 6 months from now.
All right, so I just wanted to share that with you. When I heard that, I thought that was pretty huge. And I thought, let's go ahead and share that with our community here at CTN, and get some of you guys' commentary, what you think about some of this. Basically, we have some more in regards to referring to the whole thing that happened with FTX, and of course, moving on from that. I want to go over, take a moment basically to hear from you guys in the comments, and we're going to do that here in just a moment. But before I do so, I do want to recognize this particular individual, Tim Shea, with the $2 super sticker. Thank you so much, Tim. Really, really appreciate that. It means a lot, especially to get, super chats and so on, super stickers, where you want to call it here at CTN. Makes it all that much worthwhile. But most importantly, it's just our community who faithfully shows up here. And if anything, like I mentioned, some of the new people I've seen come from some of the recorded content. That means a lot as well. So thanks again, Tim. Really, really appreciate that. Just going to go further up. Let's see here. So you guys, of course, welcome some of the newcomers. Thank you so much for doing that. That means a lot. Crypto Mike, I didn't see that one first. I technically should have done that one first. So sorry about that. Just the order that came up at the moment when I was scrolled down. Thank you, of course, as well, Crypto Mike, aka Mike Cornwell, for the 99-cent super chat. Just double checking a few settings. You guys, of course, welcome some people and say hello to our community. That means a lot. Thank you so much. Michael Montclair in my car listening. Thank you for joining us once again, Michael Montclair. And if anything, guys, if you're not following Michael Montclair, check out his particular YouTube. I'm going to show that actually just briefly here for a moment, because why not? Sometimes, you'll recognize some of the people here in our community. And shout out, of course, to Michael Montclair, because if anything, he's a very talented YouTuber as well, more than just a YouTuber, a guy who happens to provide, quite a great voice for the community. So classical music and so on. I'm just going to take a moment to basically give him the plug, as the saying goes. Michael Montclair. Hold on a second. There he is. I'm going to show that. And I'm going to play one of his videos. Looks like he might have had a few new ones. Let's see. You know what? You got a Dean Martin one 7 days ago. I'm going to share that particular one because I like Dean Martin. Why not? All right. So this one is only a couple minutes. We'll recognize him. And then, of course, kicking into some of the crypto news that we have here today with you all. This is from CTN Zone, Michael Montclair, D. Martin. Everybody loves somebody. I'm going to give you a like on that one. Guys, check out his channel, Michael Montclair. He only has 64 subscribers. Could definitely use some of the CTM love and support. Let's take a moment to recognize him on this particular song. Only 2 minutes and 38 seconds. And then we'll be right back.
Everybody loves somebody sometime. Everybody falls in love somehow. Something in your kiss just told me my sometime is now. Everybody loves somebody someplace. There's no telling where love may appear. Something in my heart keeps saying my someplace is here. If I had it in my power, I'd arrange for every girl to have your charm. Then every minute of every hour, everybody would find what I could find in your arms. Everybody loves somebody sometime. And though my dreams are overdue, your love made it well worth waiting for someone like you. If I had it in my power, I'd arrange for every girl to have your charm. Then every minute, every hour, everybody would be finding what I find in your arms. Everybody loves somebody sometime. So my dreams were way overdue. Your love made it all well worth waiting for someone like you.
So bravo to CTN Zone, Michael Montclair. Bravo, sir. Well done. Check him out, guys. Once again, go to Michael Montclair. Just simply type it in. Takes you right to there. That's CLAIRE at the end. It's kind of chopped off right there. And then if anything, just give him a sub, So guys, thank you so much for taking the moment to listen to him and so on. We're going to go ahead and kick it back into our coverage for tonight, which is kind of like what the thumbnail shows. Be patient and hold Hodl to the moon. I know that you guys were expecting Larry here. The last couple of nights, I actually was pretty ill, and I got really, really dehydrated, but I'm glad to be back here tonight with you all. But anyway, I'm basically more than glad to be here tonight with you all. And if anything, Larry does have the night off because he covered for me for the last couple of nights. Gonna go ahead and read the next comment. Briltony says hello to Tim. And yeah. Okay. All right. Everybody's saying hello to everybody. Thank you so much for that. Just going to read a couple more comments before we kick it into the actual news. Cool Cat Crypto, I shall be having fish for dinner. Okay. To be expected of the Cool Cat. All right. People saying hello to Brian Dowie. That's great. Let's see here. Cool Cat, did he speak to Craig Wright, aka Satoshi? That's a good question. Salamander's in the house. Hello, it's Chilly Willy in El Paso. Yeah? Huh. It's actually pretty good weather here still in Phoenix right now. Thank God. The whole summer that we had to go through was pretty brutal, but that's all right. Elon is going to use BSV nanny boo boo. Well, that would be amazing if you did, especially for holders of BSV like yourself. And let's get a little bit further down. Glad to see everybody recognizing new peeps as well. Thank you so much for that. Selmo Flood's in the house. Crypto Talk Now. Good to see you, Selmo. Thank you so much for being here. Crypto High says good evening to myself. Thank you so much for also being here, Crypto High. And got some more people of the community coming in. Oh God, the earplugs is Michael. He's just joking with you. All right, John G. $2 super sticker. I didn't see that before. Thank you so much, John G. For one, coming from the recorded, entering into the live. Really, really appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for the $2 in Canadian super sticker. Really, really appreciate it. Again, we're gonna just take a couple more moments to recognize some more people here tonight before we kick things into the actual show. The old school style. I like that old school style personally. Jimmy Durante, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, a lot of those old schoolers that had its own unique flair. All right. Yeah, Michael has some pipes. Definitely. Crypto High. How about this? Actual crypto related question. Anyone know where I could buy XDC besides a CEX? That's a good question. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'll go ahead and share what I happen to have. Let's see. So we'll go ahead and show you what I got. So first, we might as well just do this real quick. The overall crypto market cap is at 836 billion. Currently speaking, Bitcoin, of course, is at 16,692. ETH has dropped down to 1218. In regards to XDC, let's try to answer your particular question. And let's see, at least XDC is still in the top 189th overall. Let's check out the markets. You don't want to get off a centralized exchange. Okay, so obviously you don't want big KuCoin and so on. That's where I have mine. Well, I guess it's just strictly there. So I think you probably already looked into this yourself. Does anybody else happen to know if you can get it on somewhere else other than a CEX? So hopefully somebody can answer that for you. Let's go ahead and kick it into today's particular coverage. I definitely want to show you guys some more in regards to all of this. So this just came out today, and it says weekly update, cryptos find stability as investors put the FTX fiasco in their rear view mirror. Now, some of the things I'm going to basically outline here tonight with you, our particular coverage, is just that recognizing, what has happened in the past, because if anything, you need to refer to history to make sure, you follow some of the patterns and whatnot. But, think about the whole thing with Mt. Gox, right? That was way worse than what happened. And don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting the whole thing that happened with FTX, but again, some of those things, right, in itself. So it says, for instance, after crashing 2 weeks ago on the industry rattling bankruptcy of FTX, cryptocurrency stabilized impressively this week. It appears investors are ready to move on from the FTX fiasco. Again, this was just posted earlier today. And of course, that video clip that you saw earlier, Luke Lango, the guy on the left, has quite a bit of experience in crypto and so on, and also stocks. Again, he used to work for the Los Angeles Dodgers, also the Philadelphia 76ers, I should say. Charlie Schrems been around in crypto for ages, since Bitcoin was down to $5. But some of the key things I want to basically show to you guys is some of these statements right here. So it says, with the FTX disaster, there was, of course, that whole tragedy and so on. It was a huge setback for crypto, the industry itself. But like it mentions, it wasn't a world ender. It was an ugly, high-profile bankruptcy. And like bankruptcies, listen to this, a Commodore. I know some of you guys are old school, right? Commodore 64 back in the day, right? But the bankruptcies of Commodore, WorldCom, the Lehman Brothers, et cetera, all three temporarily shook investor confidence at the time, even with what is going on right now. I get it. The whole thing of the depegging of UST that happened last May and so on, and all the bad news of recent, but says, but none of them ended their respective trends. And I think that's the key thing I want you to recognize here. The Commodore, situation itself, that bankruptcy didn't kill the computer revolution, right? The WorldCom bankruptcy didn't kill the internet revolution, and even the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy didn't kill the financial revolution, and the FTX bankruptcy won't kill just that, the blockchain revolution. Now, earlier I basically did an in-depth outline about what's going on with Bitcoin, and I know it sounds bold to make this statement, but I've said it before. I feel as though the likes of Quant will become, whether you want to agree with this or not, this is, again, my humble opinion, but for instance, Quant will be the Bitcoin of utility. So it says the industry will move on, and we think it will do so quite quickly. The fact of the matter is that cryptos are a risk asset, and with just that, all risk assets are held hostage by macroeconomic developments right now. That's why last week we told you that the course of macroeconomic developments over the next few months will determine the course of cryptos in 2023, regardless of how the FTX fiasco plays out. Stated plainly, if inflation falls and the Fed pivots in 2023, cryptos will soar, I repeat, soar, and enter a new boom cycle that will stretch into 2024 with the fourth Bitcoin halving. Again, if you remember the first Bitcoin halving, right? That point of time in which, people who first got into Bitcoin before the halving, who would put like roughly $1,000 or more into Bitcoin, and then woke up a few years later, if you will, and woke up basically millionaires. It's a huge pivotal moment for Bitcoin. So it says, if inflation stays hot and the Fed stays aggressive, cryptos will continue to struggle in 2023, and even a halving in 2024 may not stem the decline. Fortunately, the data today overwhelmingly suggests that the next year inflation will crash, and the Fed will do just that. It will pivot. Therefore, we view the FTX fiasco as the last shoe to drop, if you will, in the 2022 crypto bear market. And I get it, this year is almost over. And we believe that from current levels, cryptos could soar over the next 12 months. Here's the evidence. Again, why even just make a statement about all this? Have some solid evidence. All major leading indicators of inflation are crashing right now, setting the stage for massive and rapid disinflation in 2023. Listen to some of these key points that I want to outline. Oil prices are collapsing right now. On Friday, crude oil prices dropped to a new cycle low of, listen to this, $78 per barrel. Considering this crash is happening even after OPEC announced big production cuts, we think the market is committed to pushing oil prices lower. If true, that is a bullish indicator for the inflation picture, because historically speaking, big drops in oil prices usually produce big drops in headline inflation. Of course, as you see in this particular chart, it mentions, based on the current plunge in oil prices, inflation looks ready to collapse rapidly in 2023. Home sales, of course, are collapsing. Heck, the price of this home that I live in went from $400,000 to about $315,000 and is still dropping. In the housing industry, sales are leading indicators of prices. When sales drops prices tend to drop over the next few months. When prices drops, rent starts to drop too, and then shelter inflation usually collapses. We're going to get more into about the whole topic of shelter inflation. That's why, as the chart below shows, falling home sales are historically a very long leading indicator of shelter inflation. Home sales are crashing right now, like I basically just mentioned. Yes, I'm in the Phoenix area, but it's not just here, it's literally everywhere. Therefore, shelter inflation should crash in 2023. Here's this particular chart that shows some of just that. The current plunge in existing home sales is so large that it almost guarantees a collapse in shelter inflation in 2023. You can see where this curve is starting to immediately drop. At the same time, pretty much everything in manufacturing, firms in the United States, experts prices to collapse over the next few months on the back of the supply gluts and also falling demand. In regards to a little bit more of this, the Philadelphia Fed manufacturing survey for November missed expectations by a mile this week, clocking in at negative 19.4 versus an expected negative 6.0, and is basically down substantially from October's negative 8.7. Clearly, economic activity is slowing. As a consequence of this slowing activity, prices are plunging. The survey prices paid expectations index fell to a new cycle low in November, and basically now is the midst of one of the steepest crashes ever. This index historically bears a very strong correlation to just that, headline inflation rates. A little bit more in regards to this, it says with energy, home rent, and manufacturing prices dropping, as well as freight rates and price expectations falling, the forces are in motion to spark rapid disinflation in 2023. Now, where I'm going to go more with this and make the point that you're going to see here is some of these key things mentioning when we get some of these rapid disinflation figures going. So it says, for instance, with energy, home, and rent manufactured prices dropping, as well as freight rates and the price expectations falling, the forces, of course, are in motion for spark of rapid disinflation 2023. But listen to this. The Fed will find it very difficult to hike interest rates in the face of rapidly falling inflation, especially if the labor market starts to weaken, and that's already happening too. Look at all these big players, for instance, outlined right here. Seems everyone from FedEx, Amazon, Meta, Twitter, you name it, some of these other ones, Carvana, are announcing layoffs. You saw big announcements with the likes of, for instance, Twitter, what Elon Musk basically mentioned with going, quote, hardcore is the term that he used. He gave a deadline for those who wanted to stay, ones who didn't, ones who could write basically software code and so on. They had deadlines. Some of these people had chosen to not stay. They're taking severance packages for 3 months, you name it. It says, indeed, we're only 3 weeks into November, and already layoff announcements this month are more than double last month's announcements. We think the layoff announcements are just starting. Therefore, we believe that early 23, the Fed will be looking at a set of data that shows rapidly falling inflation and rapidly rising unemployment. Now, here's the key thing. Against that backdrop, it will pivot. The Fed has always pivoted once unemployment turns higher. That was once even true back in the 1970s and 80s when we were dealing with much worse inflation than we were today. Are today, I should say. Back then, whenever the unemployment rate started to creep higher, the Fed stopped hiking rates and began cutting them. Again, we got to refer back to history to give us a broader perspective of what's going to happen here soon. As you can see on this particular chart, it says the Fed of the 70s and 80s capitulated whenever unemployment rates rose. Will Powell and company do the same thing? To the end of our macroeconomic outlook for 2023 is for inflation to crash, unemployment to rise, and for that to spark an early and sudden reversal in Fed policy. No, I realize I'm reading a lot of this verbatim, but here's the thing. When I skimmed through this earlier, I was like, man, I can't not leave out some of these key things. And you want to hear why I don't want to leave some of this out. So it says the risk assets that will benefit most from this pivot will be, of course, cryptos. And that's probably why you're here to hear some of this. So it says, for instance, whenever Fed policy eases and money supply expands, cryptos will, of course, soar. You know, And that's like one of the key things I want to outline here for you guys. The Bitcoin rally from 3,000 to 12,000 in 2019 was preceded by a reversal in money supply growth from contracting to expanding. Similarly, the Bitcoin rally from 10,000 to 60,000 in 2021, actually was more than that, right? We saw as high as 69,000, was also preceded by significant money supply expansion. Cryptos have been struggling throughout 2022 as money supply growth has shrunk. If Fed policy shifts in 2023, though, money supply growth should reaccelerate higher. If it does, listen to this, cryptos will do what they always do when money supply growth it reaccelerates, and that is basically soar to the moon. I'm not going to just try to act like I'm some crazy guy that's going to get on a thumbnail and put, 1000x to the moon for no basic reason without no actual data or evidence. States here, therefore, we remain of the belief that the FTX fiasco and subsequent sell-off mark the quote bottom of the 2022 crypto crash. Of course, I showed you guys a brief video that they're referring to right here with those two gentlemen, Charlie Shrem and Luke Lango, but says falling inflation, a dovish Fed pivot, and the reinvigorated risk sentiment of 2023 should spark a major rally in cryptos, which we believe will extend into 2024 due to the fourth Bitcoin halving. These are monumental moments for Bitcoin, right? And especially with the overall crypto market. However, we are not rushing to buy the dip aggressively just yet. We will wait until more technical signals will give us, to get to that basically, become more aggressive with the likes of the boom cycle 2023. Multiple times we've been mentioning here at CTN, recognizing these boom cycles, recognizing, the Bitcoin cycles, if you will, that happen every 4 years. We expect those technical signals to emerge within the next few months. Until then, we will let cryptos consolidate at these depressed levels and gain the strength necessary to power a multi-year rally. We'll get more into these particular portfolio notes. I know that was quite a bit to outline with you guys. I'm going to kick it back into the comments briefly, and then we'll continue to do the whole thing of 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out. All right, here we go. In the comments, we have, for instance, John G says, thanks, Tim Shea, my first sticker. Thank you so much. Cool Cat Crypto, KuCoin has XDC, but right, that's a centralized exchange. All right, so a little bit further down, yes, hit that like button. Thank you so much, everybody. I do see that we happen to have another super chat that came in. Let me go ahead and recognize that. Tim Shea with the $1.49 super sticker. Thank you so much, Tim. Really appreciate you as always. And if anything, I'm just going to go a little bit further back up to where I was at. Cool Cat Crypto. Oh, you want DeFi, Pancake Swap, or Uniswap? Yeah, that's a good point. But I didn't, usually when it comes to the listings you see, for instance, on CMC, they would mention, for instance, Uniswap V2, Uniswap V3, and so on. I didn't see that. But if anything, we can get somebody to verify that as we're doing the show, kind of like some multitasking. All right, so really, Cat, I'm there. XDC. Okay, hold on a second. Yes, not on CEX. Some of Fuzz, Sammy Davis Jr., The Candyman was a nice tune. Yes, I like a lot of Sammy Davis Jr.'s old school music. I also like some of the shows he used to be in. For instance, if you ever watched The Rifleman back in the day, there's 2 different episodes he was on I thought was really, really well done, but that's besides the point. Michael Montclair, blushing, thanks. Got to drive now and be safe. All right, no problem. Glad to give you a shout out. Salamander, who's Larry? Well, I think Larry's doing all right tonight. I think if anything, he's spending some quality time with his date. Cool Cat Crypto, XSwap, and GBEX might be able to buy it. Never tried. Cool Cat Crypto, he's probably buying XRP. I hope so. But then again, it went up to about 40 cents last I checked. All right. You guys are keeping the algorithm going. Thank you so much for doing that. And let me go further down. Let's see. Wow. Well, I do appreciate it. All right. Sean, the Crypto Smith. Hey, Max. Hope you're having a great Saturday. I am. Thanks you for joining us tonight, everybody. It's just everybody. Thank you, Crypto Smith, for joining us with everybody here tonight. Glad to have you here. Guys, if you haven't checked out the Crypto Smith, make sure you check out another fellow content creator and his channel. You can look at it straight up on YouTube. Just type in the Crypto Smith. It'll take you right there. He has a lot of great content that he likes to share. Showing hello or saying hello to Tim Shea and so on. All right, let me see here. No problem. More than glad to, of course, check for you. Kukat Crypto. Anyone that doesn't have the crypto off exchanges by now is just silly with the ghost. Okay. All right. Thanks again, Tim, for the $2.49 super sticker. He's just getting rid of all the sensors. Doesn't need them anymore. All right. Menelect, welcome. Glad to have you here tonight. SEC is hard to get for some. Okay, good point. I think Monday might be a big day for XLM, XRP, and XDC. London calling. All right, let's get into some of the other coverage we happen to have here tonight at CTN for you guys. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of just that. And if anything, it's in reference sort of to what I basically showed you guys earlier with the likes of today's quant video, but it's a key highlight. And oops, sorry about that. It's this right here. So for instance, like this guy posted earlier, he's like, probably nothing, but it's really not nothing. If anything, I recognize some of this particular, language code and so on. So for instance, on the top, it says the underlying object it points to may be network address, data block, transaction ID, alias, etc., or a future object type not yet defined. Look at this particular address. For instance, you have quant/api.gateway1.com/swift. Are you kidding? Really? I mean, for instance, in some of my recorded videos, I outlined just that. You heard, for instance, the likes of their CTO from Quant basically mentioning that at Sibos conference, which was about a month or so ago, they had the likes of Swift reaching out to them and so on, right? And I get the whole thing with what happened with Ripple and so on, but it's just that verifying some of these things. And then, of course, Gilbert Verdian of Quant, the CEO, verify that as well. And then you see some of these particular things, right? A little bit more in regards to this. So here's another one. It says, it shows just that. We talk about Quant, the APIs, what they do with payment APIs and so on. But I mean, to see this address literally mentioned, I think is huge. All right. I'm going to read this particular thing. So it says, the blockchain and network services are mainly centered around blockchain and, of course, network solutions. Blockchain products include SIA Chain, a private infrastructure created by SIA to develop innovative blockchain applications based on distributed ledger technology, aka DLTs, in addition to several innovative projects and partnerships. For example, the Spunta, I should say, bank project aimed at applying blockchain technology to interbank processes, and the partnerships, listen to this, I should say, with Quant Network focused on researching the interoperability between blockchain technologies and services for banks and financial institutions. Network solutions mainly include SIA Net, Financial Ring, a one-stop solution covering the value chain of the security exchange industry, so on and so forth. That was pretty huge. And of course, the bottom, which provides logical network access to the Swift IP network. Pretty huge. Of course, and it shows a little bit more about how the Swift CBDC connector gateway works and so on. But I definitely wanted to bring that to you guys' attention a little bit more in regards to just that. If you're wondering, why so much emphasis on the likes of Swift? Well, for instance, when you see this whole thing with Quant and Swift, and not just Quant and Swift, but let's face it, Ripple's XRP and so on, this is huge. We can even throw in XLM, Stellar Lumens, and so on. So it mentions in year-to-date, September 2022, Swift recorded an average of 44.8 million FIN messages per day. Traffic grew by plus 8% versus the same period of the previous year. Now, if you're wondering, how many transactions does Swift process a year? And again, this is not even counting what's going to happen here soon with their upgrade, if you will, to this new technology and so on. Remember, the key thing is it's not that Swift is being replaced; it's Swift is being upgraded. And I think a lot of times people, hear those particular terms, they just think that Swift is going to go away, and these people, I guess, are losing their jobs, or I don't know what the terminology is, but that is not the case. It's an upgrade. So it mentions an average of 42 million payments and security transactions were processed using the FIN messages service, I should say, per day last year, underscoring Swift as the platform of choice for financial institutions. Again, key takeaway here, platform of choice for financial institutions worldwide, and demonstrating our relevance, I should say, to future growth of the digital economy. Now, a little bit more in regards to this. What percentage of transactions go through Swift? Direct participants can message one another through Swift or through the CIPS own messaging system. Indirect participants send and receive instructions through Swift, as noted earlier. These two guys, Young and Go, 2022, estimate that 80% of payments through CIPS use Swift messaging. And of course, we understand that that old system of messaging is going to go to, for instance, ISO 222. Last, before we kick it into the next part of this, how many banks use Swift, currently speaking? 11,000 banks, right? So Swift was founded to replace the Telex, is a member-owned cooperative connecting more than 11,000 banks, financial institutions, corporations in more than 200 countries and territories. Now, my key takeaway is this. This is why I mentioned, of course, why I feel personally that Quant is going to be the next Bitcoin, if you will, but with the utility. Again, if your cryptos are involved with having just that real use case, real utility, and is tied into the financial sectors in some way or another, right? And then on top of that, you have the likes of Swift, right? With what is mentioned here and so on. Again, Quant's partnerships with what they got going on as we speak. Last I saw it basically was something like over 50 banks. And there's more than 70 different partnerships, so on and so forth. But you have an idea how huge this could be. Now, another thing I want to show with you guys is just this right here. And actually, let me get to that real quick. Now, what I was going to state is I actually need to go ahead and share this for you to hear it. But before I do so, I do want to do the 5 minutes in and 5 minutes out, just to kind of keep up with the comments. So let's see here. We have Michael Montclair. What's the price of XDC? Currently speaking, with XDC, it's sitting at 0.02617. It's just slightly up. Kind of a buy if you consider like a lot of us were paying about 3 cents for it earlier. Mr. Lambo's Crypto Talk. Good to have you here, sir. Less than 3 cents, Michael. Wow. Okay. Buying 100. All right, Tim Shea, Mr. Lambos. All right, cool cat. Heard about 11/21 being a big day. Why is that? He can answer that for you. Menelik, I hope November 21/22 are very interesting for crypto. The London ISO meeting is November 21st through the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. That is a big moment. Let me go a little bit further down. So Lambo's Crypto Talk. Gotcha. Thanks, buddy. Hold on. Cool Cat Crypto. We will find out about next week if they are lying about March of next year being the day. I hope not. I hope it really ends up becoming a mandatory mandate. All right. $2 super chat from Salamander in Space. Thank you so much. XDC, XRP, XLM, the X Team ISO 222. Thanks as usual, Salamander. Really appreciate the super chat. And thank you, of course, for being here as usual. All right. So a little bit more in regards to our particular coverage on some of these topics. Let me go ahead and present this for you guys so you can hear it. And here we go. So this one basically states, pack up your quant bags. It's happening right now. This is about a minute and a half, and then we'll come right back. This is officially, if I'm not mistaken, right from the quant team. And here we go.
What's changed is the market's maturity in terms of understanding what the technology can do for them, but also real world uses. And we didn't know it was going to be that critical to the members of the Sybos and the Swift community. But right from the beginning, it is, and everyone we pretty much spoke to had the same appreciation of what it can do and kind of a need to do something with CBDCs and DLT.
Yeah. Martin, was that your reflection?
Yeah, it was interesting actually, because I mean, we have quite a strong payments background. At Sybos, there was a lot of securities people, and pretty much everybody we spoke to was either going live or about to go live with a DLT-based securities platform. So the large banks, the vendors, they were all, this quarter, next quarter, they seem to be really on the cusp of tokenizing just a load in that industry. I think payments are kind of rattling on behind. So the next 12 to 24 months will be really interesting on the payment scene, but I think securities it's happening now.
All right. It was nice to hear also from Martin Hargreaves, who's also part of the Quant team. A little bit more in regards to all this. Give me just a second, basically, to share it. But, let me see here. There's one in particular that I definitely wanted to share with you guys. Maybe it is in regards to some of these other things. I think it is, but I think it's a little bit more in regards to like XRP and so on. That's all right. What I was going to mention is, it was this key outline from earlier, but that's okay. It was regards. I'll just state this one. Check out the Quant video. It does explain why, for instance, Quant. There was the whole debate of, why do some of these blockchains need, to be interoperable? They already are interoperable, and it breaks it down in detail. You want to check out the recorded video on that. I'll state this much. When you see the particular recorded video, it has an outline. One side of the graph basically shows, or chart, I should say, shows how, the over ledger sits above that. Why? Because it's an operating system. It's not a blockchain. On the other side of the token, I should say the token, some of these other ones that make the claim that, they don't need Quant, they're already interoperable and so on. But if anything, you'll see on that particular chart some detailed descriptions that basically mention that they would technically need a separate blockchain to make that happen, to be quote unquote fully interoperable. And technically speaking, that is not being fully interoperable. So definitely take a look into it. It breaks it down in detail how that just happens. You can if you want. If you don't, you're not into the likes of Quant and so on. I get it. Let's kick into the next comment. Larry might have only about 48 hours left to buy XRP, possibly. I don't know about that, but yeah, I hear you on that. TikTok, Larry, TikTok, and we'll go further down. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and kick it into some of this other coverage that we have. And it's from this particular guy. I haven't quoted him before, but again, he's just kind of retweeted what Quant Papa shared. And I, of course, share quite a bit of what he shares, but it says, and you still lazy to read about the Quant network. If anything, let's take a moment to listen to this. It shows Gilbert Verdian's background when it comes to his ties to government. You might want to hear this to give you a broader perspective. It's only about a minute, and then, of course, we'll kick it right back here in just a moment. Here we go.
I can name it. So my background, personal background, has been in government for a long time. So the thing with government is once you're with government, you never leave. You always have a connection. And what I like doing is making a difference and making some change at a policy level. So today, we're across 3 different governments within government, working with them to implement and expand blockchain technology, DLT technology at a nation level. So having said that, I'm in the Federal Reserve in the US. And so there's a lot of security, blockchain, payments work that I'm doing to set US policy on how the financial system in the US needs to change and adopt. We're quite ahead in Europe because we did, all the payment stuff 10 years ago. It's real time. But now the US is catching up. And so I'm in the committees for that. setting US policy. So that's one, which is great.
That's a big deal because obviously the US is a powerhouse.
Yes, the U.S. definitely is a powerhouse. All right, so a little bit more in regards to all this. I'm going to show you guys here in just a moment. There we go. So we do definitely have a few more things we want to share with you guys tonight. Kicking it into the next thing, which is what's going on with XRP. So it says something going on with the upgrading of the bank systems. And, you know, before, well, not within the last couple of days, but the last time I was with you guys, I outlined some of the key things. Shout out to Crypto Lulu, not on this particular one, but he outlined some of his investigative reports on, you know, what particular banks are going live with this, you know, again, connecting the dots and so on. But check this out, for instance. I'm going to blow this up a little bit more for you guys. Again, you know, these are a few of the things that's, of course, happen. I mean, some of these dates are today, for instance. So, for instance, there's a client advisory system maintenance November 19th. And it just kind of gives you an idea of some of these ones, BankCom, so on and so forth. I'm going to flip the page. And you kind of have an outline here of what's going on with all this. So, for instance, it says, you know, some of these things have been completed. There's a start time, for instance, like literally just that of today. Was it Kleinwort Hambros? It says Kleinwort Hambros will perform infrastructure chains on the 19th of November, which is literally today. There'll be a few minutes of downtime during the maintenance window. But again, even you see some of the other ones mentioned, right? Barclays, for crying out loud. Consent flows impacted due to MATLS SSO issue. There's another one that says Open Banking Certificate Authority. I mean, again, it's just everything outlined here. Again, connecting the dots, if you will. And again, from another source, not just Crypto Lulu, and so on. There's another one. And again, more XRP news and so on. So I know a lot of you guys follow James K. Filan. He, of course, is a defense, you know, still currently a defense lawyer, former federal prosecutor, but he always covers XRP and especially what's going on with the whole Ripple case with the SEC. So before we mentioned here multiple times at CTN, you know, we first saw, of course, the whole thing for the amicus brief with that particular company that was the quote unquote Uber of, you know, jet charter services, right? And then it just went from there. It snowballed to, you know, the likes of Coinbase. And I felt as though that I thought that, you know, is going to go to another one. And it's just going to be this huge grocery list. And literally you're seeing that. So for instance, here's this particular one, list of amicus briefs filed by the, you know, November 18th as of yesterday, deadline. And of course, credit to this particular person, Cherry Empress 21. And here it is. I'm gonna blow it up a little bit more for you guys. Here's the list of the current amicus briefs that have been filed. You have the Chamber of Digital Commerce, iRemit, again, the one I refer to as the Uber of charter private flights, if you will. Tap Jets, or that might actually be Tap Jets. I apologize. ICANN, Spend the Bits, Coinbase, like we mentioned, Blockchain Association, Paradigm Ops, Deaton, Verdao, Reaper Financial, CCI, Cotillion. You just, I mean, it's pretty impressive to see all these ones kind of going to bat for the likes of this Ripple case. So again, follow James K. Filan if you want a little bit more up-to-date news. You don't want to wait necessarily for us to bring it to you here at CTN or from CTN. You definitely could do so. You know, James K. Filan has definitely been killing it with the coverage. We got a little bit more in regards to this, not necessarily with the likes of Ripple's XRP, but we got some more news in regards to what's going on with FTX and the whole crazy thing that's happened. I'm going to, of course, see if there's any more comments. Give me just a moment. And there definitely is. That's good. And of course, I just want to welcome everybody that's recently joined. Thank you for joining us here at Crypto Talk Now tonight on your weekend. Tim Shea, Cool Cat, Arkansas, kicking, you know what, 42-6. Man, that's a crazy score. Razorbacks doing their thing, huh? So I never knew that you were really into college football. That's cool, man. Crypto, hold on, Cool Cat Crypto. How can there not be more people in here? I don't know. maybe because of everything that's been happening, all the doom and gloom. It's definitely affected our numbers. But I still say that when it comes to everything, when the bull market comes, we should see a lot more in that regard. All right. Tim Shea, Kukak, it's that funky cold Medina. It might very well be. All right, let's go ahead and kick it into the next part of our news coverage for you tonight. Let me kick it in right now. And it's this particular piece from the Wall Street Journal. All right. So this was posted actually earlier, I think today, if I'm not mistaken. It says FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried cashed out $300 million during the funding spree. Some of you guys may know about this already. Some of you may not. But like it mentions, cryptocurrency exchange founder told investors last year that the share sale was partial for reimbursement of money he spent to buy out rival Binance's stake. And then, of course, there's this whole thing here. I definitely want to share with you for just a moment. I'm just going to, of course, have to reshare that. I just want to kind of give you an introduction to just that. But here it is. And yeah, it's going to take a moment to refresh it. There we go. So here we go.
$1 billion in over 150 billion.
And of course, we'll be right back. This one's a tad bit longer, but you know, it's not like we have the comments going like crazy. But listen to this. This is crazy to hear it from this particular perspective and the outline that they have from the Wall Street Journal.
Over $150 billion. In 3 days, that's how much the world's 15 largest cryptocurrencies lost in market value. It's because of the crypto exchange platform FTX, which is behind this token, named FTT. On November 6th, the token's value began to fall, losing more than 80% of its worth in the span of 72 hours. Once seen as a survivor in a struggling market, the fall of FTX has sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency industry. So, what went wrong? FTX is the brainchild of Sam Bankman-Fried. He's commonly known as SBF on social media. He's been previously hailed as a savior of the crypto industry.
And you were called the JP Morgan of crypto.
Yep.
Did that bother you or did not?
It doesn't bother me too much.
Bankman-Fried founded the quantitative trading firm Alameda Research in 2017. 2 years later, he started FTX, an exchange platform for buying or selling cryptocurrencies. Right now, he's the majority owner of both firms.
That kind of aroused some skepticism among industry players and traders, investors, stakeholders, that there could be some sort of conflict of interest in terms of whether Alameda Research was getting preferential treatment on FTX, vice versa. But the official narrative that SBF gave in the past is that the two companies are separate entities.
After its launch, FTX attracted major investments from Silicon Valley and Wall Street.
You know, we've raised a few $1 billion over the course of the last couple of years, and we're a profitable business.
It grew into the fourth largest cryptocurrency exchange for derivatives trading. Celebrities promoted the platform in ads.
I'm getting into crypto.
With FTX. You in?
It's FTX. It's a safe and easy way to get into crypto.
I don't think so.
FTX was gaining steam, and in the process, often tussled with Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange by volume.
When FTX was getting started, Binance invested in FTX, and it was one of the crypto exchange's earliest investors. But FTX, as we know, grew really rapidly and became a very substantial rival to Binance.
As FTX grew in the industry, Bankman-Fried furthered his reputation as a crypto savior when digital asset prices collapsed earlier this year.
It's not fair to customers.
He bailed out firms, spending about $1 billion.
It's okay to do a deal that is moderately bad in bailing out a place.
But that image didn't last. On November 2nd, CoinDesk published a report based on a leaked Alameda balance sheet. According to the leaked data, Alameda claimed it had over $14 billion in assets at the end of June. But most of that was FTX's tokens. Alameda CEO Caroline Ellison tweeted that the balance sheet wasn't complete.
Caroline also said its financial situation is under control, the company is doing well. However, it seems like the market just didn't really buy that, and then traders continue to withdraw from FTX.
FTX and Alameda did not respond to a request for comment. Things escalated on November 6th when Binance said it would offload hundreds of millions of dollars of FTT. Binance did not respond to a request for comment. The announcement sparked mass withdrawals. That day, FTX processed $4 billion of transactions, many times the normal amount for a day. Some got backlogged, which sparked demand for more. By November 7th, that number ballooned to $6 billion. On the 8th, a day later, FTX's finances were in crisis. Binance stepped in and said it would buy the company. It seemed like FTX might have solved its liquidity problem. But on the 9th, Binance backed out of the non-binding acquisition. The next day, the Journal reported that FTX used money from customers to fund risky bets made by Alameda.
It's a shocking revelation for a lot of people in the industry because even though there has been a lot of speculation about FTX and Alameda Research being joined at the hip, nobody could have foreseen that SBF was willing to transfer billions of customer funds at his crypto exchange to help his crypto trading firm.
The Securities and Exchange Commission and Justice Department are investigating FTX, according to a person familiar with the matter.
This is not like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ. They take people's money, they borrow against it, it's not much disclosure, and then they trade against their customers.
A spokesperson for the Justice Department declined to comment. Bankman-Fried told investors that FTX couldn't cover withdrawals since its collateral was dropping in value and couldn't be liquidated, according to people familiar with the matter. On the 11th, Bankman-Fried resigned as CEO, and FTX and Alameda filed for bankruptcy. Afterwards, FTX said it was probing a potential hack. More than $370 million worth of crypto funds appeared to be missing, according to crypto analytics firm Elliptic. On the 12th, the Journal reported that Alameda and FTX executives knew that FTX had lent its customers money to Alameda.
So a lot of retail traders and investors I've talked to are feeling desperate or frustrated. The majority of the people in the industry could not have seen this coming because FTX is such a dominant player.
The fallout has led other companies to tout their reserves and call for more transparency in the industry. As of November 11th, according to the bankruptcy filing, FTX's estimation of their liabilities would make it the largest crypto-related bankruptcy ever filed.
All right.
This is.
Thought I'd go ahead and share that with you. I know a lot of you guys have been following this closely and so on. But that was, one of the things I wanted to mention. It's like, for one, you see the headline of FTX's Sam Bankman-Fried. Let's face it, at this point, like some of you guys have mentioned, I think it was last night, I saw a brief thing of, was it Daniel Gate, and he called them scam Bankman fraud. That's a good one. But it says cashed out $300 million during the funding spree. And then this whole thing about $370 million. Again, it sounds pretty nuts, to say the least. Of course, you can read more about this. It's straight from the Wall Street Journal, and I believe it is one of the latest articles in regards to this whole thing that's been going on. All right, a little bit more before we kick it into it. We're going to kick it back to, of course, the comments, kind of like 5 to 6 minutes in, 5 to 6 minutes out. Cool Cat Crypto, maybe I'm not. Oh, okay. I'm just going to go a little bit further down. That dude has a huge, he, I don't know, he kind of let things go south. I mean, there's been some, I don't know, some pictures of him, of course, in the past. That some people have definitely outlined where I guess you could say the whole relationship with Caroline, like Tim Shea mentioned, where he's definitely changed quite a bit. Some of FUD, FTX and Alameda. Gary Gensler used to work for Caroline's dad, and then he fired Gary. Yeah, there's a whole big connection in regards to that. What is the connection? The MIT connection. Cool Cat Crypto. Sam Bankman-Fried's mommy is Joe. All right. So I don't want to make it too political. Anyway, so I'm going to kick it into some of the other coverage we have here tonight for you guys. And actually, this time around, it is XDC news. Who would have ever thought XDC, right? Well, it is just that. So how about this? Blockscan proposal to manage XDC developers forum. XDC.dev receives positive response from community on all platforms. The proposal receives an average of 90% yes. Of course, I did a record. It's not released yet, but it refers to some of these updates I'm giving you guys as well. And like we mentioned here at CTN, you're going to see more and more of these type of things that have happened within the recent passing of, for instance, the XDC community, which of course is bringing up a lot of these quote unquote proposals. And if anything, it's really good for XDC because it helps it trend that much more. And some of these proposals do make sense. So it says with excitement and expectation. And if anything, you can look more into this if you like. It's a developers forum for, of course, just that, the Zenfin XDC network. A little bit more in regards to the whole thing of XDC and the coverage we happen to have here. If you're into these particular things, I know a few of you guys are. It says don't miss Coin Club Quincy, and this is a particular content creator and so on. And he's also part of the foundation developer. He's a dev that basically makes dApps for just that, XDC. But he's going to be hosting this. It's a developer workshop, and it's going to basically show how they at XDC are going to build functional NFT use cases by tokenizing just that, some of these decentralized apps, aka dApps, on the XDC network. So how cool is that? So if you're interested, I should say, in attending this particular one and hearing more about it, it's on Tuesday, November 22nd. Let's face it, that's what, 3 days from today. It's going to be at 12 noon Eastern. So that's 9 a.m. Pacific. And of course, for some of you guys who are overseas and so on, that's 5 p.m. UTC. And yeah, it's just that. It's going to be again from Coin Club Quincy, and you can look more into it. Next, for instance, there is this. If you happen to have not heard about it, it's pretty big for XDC. This happened a while back, but the ambassador of Hungary to the United States, this particular guy, was addressing the Catholic Crypto Conference. As you guys may or may not know, Cresight happened to become the first ever faith-based organization to basically get on blockchain. And what network did they pick? They picked Zenfin's XDC. Pretty cool, right? So it says Cresight, of course, is leading the way as a founding sponsor promoting cross-border blockchain adoption. And of course, there's just the latest in regards to more and more XDC news and info. In regards to XDC, like I mentioned before, it's still in the top 100, ranked 89th, one of the most underrated of the ISO 222 coins/tokens out there, sitting at about roughly 2.5 cents, slightly above that as we speak. And then next, we happen to have, I went to show this to you guys before, and I thought I'd just go ahead and just do it right now. So on the overall crypto market cap, what's trending is FTX, Solana. Of course, my Chili's is down about 13%, and that's okay, because if anything, I might just buy a little bit more to add to my bag. But of course, I'm preparing for the World Cup, so again, I got into Chili's recently, as you guys may or may not know, and I also got into Algorand. But check us out. Here's what's going on for the 1 hour. For the top 100. Nothing too big. On the 24-hour, Arweave again is doing things, up 6.5%, up about 18% on that 7-day chart. Some of the other ones, ApeCoin, 6.5%, 8.5% for the 7-day. I have been paying close attention to eCash XDC, formerly known as Bitcoin ABC. I'm just trying to see if I can get it a little bit lower, and it did. It was, I believe it was into the 2s, 0.40s and the 2 briefly when the whole FTX thing happened. But I don't know. I think I chose to get into like Chili's and of course Algorand at the time. But it's definitely been one I've been wanting to get into and been following for quite a while, over a year and so on. On top of that, here's what's going on with my particular watch list. Of course, your watch list may be a lot different from mine. On the 24-hour, we'll see what's on sale. To a sense, Bitcoin Pay is down to 0.02198. I think this briefly touched the ones, the high ones, not that long ago. Shout out to Crypto Mike who showed me this particular one. I haven't bought a bag of it, but it's something I've been considering. Again, do your own research and so on. It's available on the likes of Bitmart and some other ones, I know. But nonetheless, yeah, what's going on with that? Some of the ones, of course, on sale. Chili's, if you want to really consider that sale. Of course, when I first introduced Chili's to you guys, it was at 9 cents. Terra Luna Classics, I should say, Terra Classic USD, USTC, the former stable coin, the unstable stable coin, sitting at 0.02 cents, a little bit higher than that. Something I want to point out, Solace has dropped well below that penny mark. I may just take a gamble on it. And like I mentioned before, Solace is definitely a gamble at this point. But if anything, if things got turned around, you never know with this particular one. It is a metaverse play for you guys and so on, but they have taken an absolute nosedive in the other direction. And again, like I said, I think if anything is a gamble at this point. For that particular price, does seem pretty attractive, but again, it could tank even more. Use extreme caution, do more of your own research and see if that's something for you. So some of those I wanted to point out. On the 24-hour chart, we do see Shinobi is up, but it's not what you think it is. It's, of course, that's the V1 contract. And again, I want to state this. I've moved my V1 into V2. Literally took me 30 seconds. It was probably the most easiest transition, what do you want to call it, or migration, I should say, from a V1 to a V2 I've ever done. I would say shout out to Cliff Fettner and the crew for doing a very good job and making it very, very simple and easy to get this done. It was a piece of cake, like literally. Like I didn't even have to watch a YouTube video or anything. I just went straight to the site, followed the instructions, and that was it. It was very, very simple. So I was glad to be able to get my Shinja V2, and it was painless. All right, Singularity Net up 16%, up about 4.5. It's up to about 4.5 cents basically, and so on. There's just nothing really else out there that's kind of catching my eye at the moment. MetaMonkey AI sees up about 8%. Some of you guys are into that. I'm not personally into that. I was thinking about it a while back, but teach his own. Smooth Love Potion was one I was definitely considering to get back into. And another thing I want to point out is this. I didn't get a lot of time to focus on this. I'm, of course, kick it back in the comments here in a brief moment. But that is this. If anything, going into the bull market, I want people to recognize this. Recognize projects or products, if you will, that had former all-time highs that did very, very well. Axie Infinity, let's face it, Smooth Love Potion is their native token, if you will. But recognizing that first wave, right, of a lot of these particular projects, the first cycle. My thing is this. Recognizing what could be the second cycles for some of these. I know a lot of people turn their back on the likes of Axie Infinity and so on. But I think if anything, I've been reading more and more about them. I think if anything, it's going to be one of those that's going to go through just that, the second cycle of what they got going on. And there's so many different ones. Like, heck, we could say technically Shiba Inu and some of these other ones. I know I'm not really big on meme coins, but some of the original ones I am. I know a lot of you guys are still into it, and rightfully so. You recognize the opportunities. But guys, I think if anything, I'm going to read the last of the comments and we'll go from there. Hold on just a second. All right. So let's see here. All right. Here we go. Cool Cat Crypto. Larry might have about 48 hours. Okay, I think I already read some of this stuff. I think I lost my spot, if anything. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think this is where we're at. So checks BSV price, McQuincy Jones. He used to work for Ripple too. Nice. XTC is a freaking steal right now. Yeah, it is. Max, check out SONM. Up 1,869%. Okay. Is it on just Coin Gecko or is it also on CMC? Okay, it is on CMC. Jeez. All right, let me see. I see it right now. See it right now. All right, we'll take a few moments to check this out for just a brief moment. All right, SONM, it's a BEP20, ranked 219th, parabolic. Why is it parabolic? Well, this looks a little bit natural to a sense. Well, sorta. Let's see. Well, on the other, it looked natural. Huh. Let's see what's going on with the all times. So this has been around since summer 2021. Had a CMC listing of about under 16 cents. Then had a big spike last bull run when everything was at all-time highs to 87 cents. Then, of course, had some major crashes down to 6 cents. Oh, what's going on with this? Why all of a sudden to the moon? Literally. What the heck? People are bullish. This guy says legit, but I mean, let's face it, a lot of people say a lot of things. SONM has undergone a swap. What the heck is this thing? All right, let's see what's going on with this. Decentralized fog computing platform. SOM provides cloud services based on distributed customer level hardware, including PCs, mining equipment, and servers. You can either rent out your hardware or use someone's computing power for your needs. Huh. Well, we did outline that there was going to be some things in the, basically with the whole ETH situation where people were going to go to other, let's face it, take other avenues elsewhere, whether it was the ETC route and so on. This is interesting. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my particular watch list. Not like it matters now at this point because it just already went sky high. But if anything, it's been around for a while. That's the main thing. See what kind of what exchanges this is on or anything, right? All right, you can get on Binance. Let's see here. Pancake Swap. Wow, Pancake Swap. But that makes sense. It's BNB. It's to be expected, right? It's BEP 20 and so on. Binance Focus. That makes sense. BitGet. B-Box. I haven't heard of some of these ones. Sound like hip hop. B-Box, Scooby Doo. Guess what? America, we love you. Anyway. Very interesting, man. Thanks for bringing it to our attention, man. For real. Cool cat. That is really, really interesting. Only one decentralized exchange you get on, and that's Pancake Swap. Forgot there was this whole selection thing. I could have answered that question earlier with XDC, whoever was asking about that earlier. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, you can just go here. There's all centralized exchanges, decentralized. So if you want the decentralized, you get it from Pancake Swap. And again, if you want to just do it the quick and easy route, when it comes to this, I can vouch for this. Trust Wallet. Then go in there, use the D app, and the D app is what? Pancake Swap. You'll see it in there. Because I can at least vouch for using Trust Wallet. So, very, very interesting. Thanks again for sharing that, cool cat. There's a little bit more in regards to that. Cool cat. What is that? Effing God Candle. Yeah, it's just crazy. CoinGecko, where you got it from? All right. Sean G, decentralized is a real nice, cool wallet, or decent, I should say. Pair with your phone, buy XDC with Simplex. All right. Thanks for pointing that out, John G. Anybody else have used this before? Maybe you could vouch as well your experience with the decent, and so on. Why the blank didn't I buy that? Yeah, that's the whole thing, is finding the needles in the haystacks and so on. So that might very well be the case. And I think if anything, I mean, it's for those who recognize that and so on. But if, here's one of my key things I want to point out again is I think, how about this? Let's try to find ones not just like this particular one. And again, shout out to you for pointing that out. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of this, like we mentioned before, and that is this whole ETH 2.0, or whatever you want to call it, the going to the V2, right? That whole thing going from proof of work to proof of stake, right? A lot of people, of course, found out that their mining rigs and so on are not working, and they wanted to seek other avenues. We outlined here at CTN, go into, for instance, Ravencoin and some of these other ones. How about finding the ones in which, like, forget all that mining stuff, literally this one that you just pointed out, I could use one of my spare computers, and I have a spare computer I'm literally looking at as we speak. I think if anything, that incentivizes a lot of people and who had never even messed around with these type of things before. I want to see if there's other ones out there that are similar, because if anything, that creates, to a sense, that supply and demand. But again, you got to get something in which more and more people are going to be using these particular platforms. So yeah, that's how I think XRP will explode. Just boom, XRP is 1,200. That's the way I look at it. And let's face it, 1,200 per XRP is, if you remember that one example, was it Crypto Lulu and that other guy that we're talking about a while back? That's even at 10%, being conservative speaking. All right, Michael Montclair, I just bought 500 XDC on Uphold Exchange. Yeah, you know what? I know quite a few guys use Uphold and you like it. I'm not on Uphold. Up 2145. It just keeps going up, huh? That's crazy. All right. Well, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, that's very impressive. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up today's show. Can't thank you guys enough for being here tonight as here with us at Crypto Talk Now. Again, go to cryptotalknow.net. I meant to put a plug in for it earlier. If you haven't done so already, especially you newcomers, we're trying to make it be your one-stop shop for crypto, for news, groups, instant messaging, social media, you name it, live charts, the whole 9 yards. There's an app for both the Google Play Store. If you happen to also be a Apple person, you can download the app there as well. Check it out, cryptotalknow.net. But if anything, thanks again, guys, for being here with us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And by all means, check out the Quant video that was just released. It's got something about Bitcoin on there. I go into full detail about some of the claims that I make and so on, try to back it up and whatnot. But if anything, thanks again to everybody, especially the newcomers. And we'll see you on the next one, everybody. Over and out for now. Have a great night.